Hello, good late afternoon from Jakarta, Indonesia. It's the FIBA Asia Cup. It's game day 2, and it's Syria taking on Japan. Well, Japan coming off a big win over Kazakhstan, an impressive one, and taking on a Syria team that fell in their first game to Iran. We've already seen Iran blow out Kazakhstan today. A little surprising how easy it was. And now Japan trying to build some momentum and get a second win in as many days. Over a much improved Syria team, I think it has to be said. Well, once again, I'm Jeff Taylor, and accompanied by Mark Mills here on the call. And Jakarta is as fantastic as ever. Mark, and today, well, I think that in every game, maybe if it's not as competitive as you would like it to be, we're still seeing a lot of interesting things, good talking points. You know, India just got beat decisively, yet we saw a lot of encouraging things. With Japan, you know, this is a team that had been suffering in the Asian qualifiers for the FIBA Basketball World Cup. Now, of course, they are going to be in the World Cup, but they want to be making progress. And you get the feeling that Tom Hovass, at long last, has a roster that he is much happier with than what he has had.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting closer to the roster that he probably wants when they get to the World Cup. And you can tell they're starting to play what I would class as Hovass-style basketball. They're much more in the vein that I think he wants them to be playing at. And they were just so impressive on game day 1. And then the other end of the floor, we have Syria, and they're in a different place. Clearly, they entered today's game as underdogs. They lost to Iran on that opening game. But as you said, there were flashes of them being able to compete at that high level, with Coach Juarez there really on them to demand high standards.
Well, we are going to have a pause in the commentary for the playing of the national anthems of Japan and then Syria.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Syria.
There they are, Syria and Japan, and you can see the coach of Syria, Javier Juarez, waving to Tom Hovass as instead of shaking hands. just to say, hey, I know you're here. I feel you, big fella. And the question is, can Juarez ball compete against Hovas ball? Well, maybe if he had the personnel that he wanted, that would be the case. He certainly has done a good job, Juarez, from what I saw. Syria looked really competitive, certainly getting great play from some of his players. The likes of especially Hani Adribe, Amir Al-Sati, Anthony Bakar. But for Japan, terrific play from Kesei Tominaga, Yuki Kawamura, excuse me. Obviously, Yuta Watanabe, Luke Evans. It was a great effort for Japan, particularly in the second half when it all started to click.
Yeah, they seemed to find their feet in the second half, really put the Jets on and pulled away. Did a phenomenal job. When you actually start picking through that game, though, it all built from their defensive intensity.
You love that angle, don't you? Harza Jalajri from Indonesia, Budi Marfan from Indonesia, and James Alexander Boyer from Australia. Good eye, mate.
Any more cliches?
Just wanted to feel at home.
All welcome here.
So Japan will start with Yuki Togashi, Luke Evans, Yuta Watanabe, Yudai Nishida, who was outstanding as well. He kind of injured his hand. And Hirotaka Yoshi, who also was very solid. Sato Suda, Kawamura, Tominaga, Kao Taze, Inui, and Harimoto coming off the bench for Tom Hovas. And again, Tominaga and Kawamura, I can't wait to watch them play again after what we saw the other day. Hovas, of course, made the big switch from the Japan women after taking that program to new heights, getting the silver medal at the Olympics and being offered the chance to coach the men. And well, he's been coaching them in the windows. It hadn't been going great, but here we are at the FIBA Asia Cup, and suddenly Japan's starting to click. Anthony Bakar, Georgi Nazarian, Majd Arbasha, Abdul Wahab Al-Hamwi, and Omar Sheikh Ali in the starting five. And then you got the big guns coming off the bench. Also Adelbi, we talked about Adribe and Al-Sati, Ajri, Issa, and Obeid. And I think still no sign of Hinton, right? He hasn't traveled from California, travel issues, so shorthanded. But this Syria team, you know, led by coach Javier Juarez from Spain, for my money, I mean, it feels to me like he's done some good work there, just judging from that performance against Iran. You know, he was disciplined, he was demanding.
Yeah, he was
very
under
a little bit of pressure back home, but
he's definitely very demanding, which isn't a bad thing, trying to demand new standards from his team, which is always good. But for Syria, they've got to slow the game down. That's the way that they're going to have a chance against Japan.
Magic, point guard, okay? And you, shooter, okay? Number 9. Hey, pick and roll, switch, aggressive, okay? Especially with the men on Nazarian, okay? And the rest of pick and roll, under or switch. Okay. I don't have problem for switching pick and roll between the rest. Hey, stop transition, eh? Be smart and use the body. Hey, at this moment, run. This way, not for the middle, okay? No dribblings. Move with the ball. Be aggressive. Find the ball. Transition and not stop.
I mean, for my money, Mark, the appointment of Juarez, you know, people may disagree with me, but it's a signal that they want to go to a different level. And I know that the fans, especially in Aleppo, were disappointed with the last window with the results. And that's good. That's good pressure. I mean, the fans want it, but to the point that apparently they're thinking about not even coming. I mean, it was
that's crazy, right?
Just to show you the type of pressure that Juarez is under. It's like they're talking about maybe pulling the plug on the trip here. And thankfully, not the federation, but some of the other backers. And anyway, they made it, and we're excited that they're here, and we're about ready to go. So good afternoon, everybody. Japan and Syria, we are underway. And Luke Evans gets an open look from the left corner and makes the first shot.
Yeah, and that's going to be frustrating for Coach Juarez straight away. He set his stall out in that pre-game huddle. It's all about defense. That's where they need to stem from. They need to slow the Japanese team down, and they need to make it hard for Japan to score.
Well, we saw Luke Evans take a couple of knocks against Kazakhstan, and here he is taking an inadvertent elbow from Alhamwe, and Alhamwe puts up kind of a little hook, I don't know what you call it, from the middle of the lane.
I'd call it slightly lazy offense.
Watanabe hits the three, and picking right up where they left off the other night.
And the speed at which they play their offense, they're quite happy to shoot early in their shot clock because they know due to their defensive efforts, they're going to get enough possessions.
Now, not taking anything away from the guys on the floor right now, but the big guns for Syria are on the bench from my perspective. Now, that's a nice play, staying with it and missing the shot. They had a good look, but he's elected to bring his big guys off the bench. You just wonder if they might be behind by the time they get in, other than Bakar. Oh, boy, great awareness of Nishida. And Watanabe can't catch up to it.
And this is the defense that Japan will play all game. They had 18 steals in that last game. They were just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And they weren't that efficient on the offensive end. Their shooting percentages weren't particularly high, but because they played such pressure defense, they just had more possessions. They had more tickets to the lottery, so they were more likely to win it.
Bakar, that's worrying because he came out firing on all cylinders the other day, and now almost the alley-oop was there, but it was missed by Yoshi. Didn't convert.
And Coach Hovas will be happy because it feels more like the second half Japan from game day one than the first half. It's a relatively close game for the first 20 minutes, but Japan just found about another 3 or 4 gears in the third quarter.
Watanabe, will it be a second three? No, it does not. Drop.
Syria cannot play this loose on the defensive end. There has to be so much more intensity. They have to close down those gaps.
Hamle goes to work and misses with the left hand. And Luke Evans races down for the layup.
You always like to see that when a big man gets out and runs in transition, that the guards are there to reward him.
Alhamwe goes in and makes the layup. Luke Evans has to be careful how he talks to the referees.
I understand his frustration due to the height difference between him and Alhamwe. Alhamwe keeps getting him in delicate areas, first his nose and then his unmentionables.
Well, the strategy could pay off by bringing, continuing to bring Al-Sati off the bench. Bakar, oh boy, this is the layup. And Juarez is so upset that they've missed a couple of layups. Good block by Alhamwe. Good hustle by Evans to get it to Watanabe, and then he misses. And now a chance to run, Nazarian. And, okay, I think Juarez is about to blow a gasket. He's trying to be positive, but he's seen 3 opportunities spurned, just obviously not on purpose, but.
At this level, you can't make those mistakes. You know, they've done the hard work. They've pushed the ball down the floor exactly as they needed to, and then they just forget to make the layup. That's what it feels like.
And the three-pointer stretches the lead for Japan. Yoshi.
And any team that can score 3 three-pointers in the first 3-4 minutes of the game truly shows how poor the defense is at the other end.
Arbasha takes a finger to the eye. Just wonder if there might be a little blood there.
Yeah, Nishida got 3 steals in that first game, so he's going to look to get into those passing lanes again.
Arbasha should be able to go past Evans. They get it to Bakar, and that's the three-pointer that they're looking for.
That's good. Much better structure and patience on the offensive end once they get stuck in that half court.
Yoshi. And the second opportunity at it, and Evans misses. Alzati's going to come in. I think it's Alzati's rebounding and overall power. Oh boy, another turnover.
I think it's just his energy that he brings, to be honest. When we saw Alzati come in, he just came in ready. He came ready for the war, and that's exactly what they need right now. They seem to be completely passive. They're just, letting Japan play whatever they want to play, and Alzati didn't allow that to happen in game day one.
Watanabe this time goes in. It's blocked by Alhamwe. He was trying to dunk it. Yoshi. So we're actually seeing some positive contributions from Alhamwe here.
He's providing the rim protection that they need. Ultimately, that's why he's on the floor, although he's now asking to be subbed out, I think.
Alhamwe wants to come out, and his coach is going to make him work.
He's played a little over 4 minutes, and he's signaling that he's fatigued.
Watanabe thought about driving, gets it back. Kawamura in the game for the first time, and there's Watanabe. Another three for Japan. Also, Tominaga's in the game, number 39. It took him a while to get heated going yesterday. Alzati picks up the dribble. Oh, that was a bad pass. Have to be careful with Kawamura.
Yeah, you truly do. And for Abasha there, as soon as he saw him pick up the dribble, he has to move towards him. Otherwise, you're going to see easy scores or fouls at the other end for Kawamura.
Alhamwe looks like he wants to come out, and he was about ready to go out, and then the coach said, "You're not coming out." Bakar's going out. I'm struggling to understand that. It's 5.5 minutes into the first quarter, and you want to go and sit down? Strange for me. As a coach, whenever I've coached, I've only had players telling me not to take them out, being upset that they're sitting on the bench. It's very rare that I've ever seen a player, not want to be on the floor, unless it's late in the fourth and they are truly have given everything, played 30 minutes already, or they've picked up an injury. And I don't think Alhamwe is falling into either of those categories right now. Well, it could be, some issues we don't know about. Abasha drives in. And Juarez is going to get a timeout. Tominaga gets it back to Kawamura, who steps into the three. And Alhamwe has it knocked out of his hands by Evans, but it goes to Abasha. Issa into Alhamwe, turns, puts it up, and it's time to charge. So he's outside.
Yeah, he's done brilliantly there just to keep his feet outside. Even though he's back down, he kept even his heels outside that restricted area.
This is FIBA. Down the rim, 3 layup. First pass. And Sati, this is the pass we want. Be aggressive with the ball. No, you take 1 minute. 1 minute here and you. No. Okay, you go to play. Anthony, Nafarian. Let's leave the game now. Okay. We switch now, okay? We play 3 in defense, okay? Doing top, okay? Go to the corner. No, you play. And in offense, we play 2 or 3.
Well, you can see the highlights, and thought he was telling Alhamwe to stay out, that he needed to stay seated, and then he's going to put somebody else in. But who is it that's going to sit down? Not Nazarian's going to sit down. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so
his signal
must
to
have been talking to Nazarian. I don't know.
I think his signal to Al-Hamwi was, "I've given you your minute.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it was.
I've given you a timeout. You've had your minute to sit down. You're now going to get back on the floor and work hard again."
Al-Hamwi looks like he's kind of being punished, like he has to play. Just wants a breather, coach. I need to rest. Anyway, guess it's a good sign that your coach wants you on the court. Tominaga, three-pointer's good. 19-5.
And already 5 3-pointers for Japan.
Drives in. Oh, look at Al-Hamwi getting it in, going up for the slam.
And I think partly that's what Coach Juarez is pushing on Al-Hamwi, kind of goading him a little bit to put a bit more aggression onto the floor, even if he is tired and blowing a little bit.
Watanabe for 3. Good rebound, Issa. Sati back outside to Arbasha. Al-Hamwi, a long 3. Bakar. Al-Sati with the pump fake, puts it up. I think all those guys have the green light to shoot it, including Al-Hamwi. Tominaga, he's definitely got the green light. Ooh, Al-Hamwi says, "I'm taking that rebound. I want some stats." Arbasha being chased. Ooh. Passes it back. Good passing from Syria. Issa misses.
And at the moment, the tempo of the game is playing into Japan's hands.
Definitely. Watanabe races down and scores.
The only way this remains a game is for Syria to slow this game down. Really slow it down. That's both ways. They need to slow down, play some half-court offense unless transition is available, but particularly the other way. They've got to get out. They've got to slow Japan's progression of the ball in their offense.
I don't know. I'm kind of old school in a way. You see Al-Hamwi with the dunk. I mean, I realize you look at it from the side, and Juarez is just about to blow a gasket over there, but he is demanding excellence, and I like it. I mean, you can see what he's trying to do, and I'm telling you, Mark, I've seen Syria play a lot the past several years, and they have a certain, you know, something about them now that they didn't have before.
Yeah, I don't think
organization.
Yeah, I don't think that it's not. I think there's more than that. I think they're not just approaching it as the kind of underdog. We're not, you know, we're here to make up the numbers. There seems to be a bit more bite about them. And you know, from a coach's perspective, sometimes you almost make yourself the enemy to your players, in the sense of, I'm going to prove him wrong. You know, it's us as a team against our coach almost, and that brings that bond together. But Juarez is asking for a huge amount from his team right now. It's how his team react to that. It could go one of 2 ways, either a really good way or a disastrous way.
Issa, and the referee sees him, Juarez, challenging his player, so he knows. He's like, well, he's being honest with his player. Maybe he's being honest with me. And he tells me I missed something. But I know that, I'm telling you, we talked about this the last time he was playing. There are a lot of good coaches in Spain.
This is something that Japan struggled with initially in that first game, was the zone defense.
Wow.
But you can't leave him any space. I know he's 2 meters outside, but Tominaga is just a phenomenal shooter.
He really is.
He's on the floor to score the ball. No other part of the game I think particularly interesting. It's just getting the ball in the bucket.
Good pass. Al-Sati bumped. Bounce past to Al-Sati. So 24-7 in complete command already. Japan.
And I hate to say it, but they've been allowed to be. Syria have, you know, have assumed the underdog status. And just let Japan really play the game any which way they want, wherever they want, however they want, and they need to change that.
Ribe missing, Sato missing, and ball knocked out of the hands big number 71. And that leads to a chance for Syria. He's impressive, actually. Ishak Obaid.
Yeah, didn't manage to score in the first game, but he only got 3.5 minutes, so didn't have a huge opportunity.
Oh boy, look at that passing. Tominaga, good. Showing the three-point sign.
He's
definitely got that American influence.
Yeah, put that pose on a t-shirt, right?
Oh, now they just take it away. Kawamura. More of the same.
And they just look for the referees for help, and it's not the referees that are going to help them. They've got to help themselves by changing the way they're playing this game. It's within their realms. You know, this isn't like they're out of their depth or out of their level. They just need to apply themselves in a more consistent manner. What a quarter of basketball.
I mean, you know, Syria have left some shots out there. They could probably have 10 more points, but I think this says much more about Japan and how they're approaching things right now. They lead it 29-9 over Syria.
And that was a near perfect first quarter for Japan, shooting over 40% from outside. 7 3-pointers in the first quarter of a game. That shows how much confidence they've got in their abilities. And this is now down to Syria for them to change the game. You know, Japan, let's just have another 3 quarters just like that. That style of play will do us. It's light work. It's not going to, you know, it's not going to be fatiguing. It's not going to be damaging to their bodies. They're getting out, they're running, they're enjoying their game. Now, Syria have to come in and change things.
I spoke really highly of Korea, telling you I thought that they were potentially a championship winner, but I think this Japan team has possibilities. The more they play, they are playing fast, harassing, they're hitting shots. Okay, they're playing Syria today, but they took on Kazakhstan, an informed Kazakhstan team, and have basically destroyed their confidence. You know, with that performance against them late.
Kazakhstan were a shell today because of what Japan did to them without shadow. I'm still keen to see Japan tested.
No, they will be more tested against Iran.
But even within a game, not necessarily losing the game, but having a moment in the game where they've got backs against the walls, they're down by 10, 12 points or whatever.
See if they
and
can
just
come
to
back.
see, you know, because at the moment everything is their way. Absolutely everything is their way. You know, they've dictated terms pretty much for a lot of the Kazakhstan game. They dictated terms for the entire 10 minutes of that first quarter.
Download the app, folks. Courtside 1891, video stream scores and results. Next time you see that barcode, just put it right up there. Already 16 points off turnovers for Japan, so that just goes to show combination of their pressure, but also maybe some poor play by Syria. You know, this won't be, you know, Syria's last chance as well. They will play Kazakhstan tomorrow with a chance to get to the qualification for the quarterfinals. And the foul has been called, and he looks good, Obaid, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's come in. He's definitely stepped up. He's going to be given more minutes by Coach Juarez. And that's the one thing I think the Syrian players know is if you perform like that, if you put in work like that and plays like that, then you're going to be rewarded with minutes by Coach Juarez. If you struggle, if you make mistakes, if you don't follow what he's putting down on the coach's board, then you're going to be sitting at the bottom of the bench for a while.
There he goes, Tominaga again.
Range.
I tell you what, that kid is raising eyebrows. I mean, I'm talking everywhere.
That range that he has, though, that is tough to defend. As much as I've put criticism on Syria, that's hard.
Wow. Big time drive by Bakar. Nice play. They got to slow down this team from the land of the rising sun. And Bakar knocks it out of bounds.
Yeah. The first thing that Syria, you're absolutely right, have to do is slow down the speed at which Japan are getting their offense underway. And for me, that's just dedicate someone to it. Dedicate one of your players to guard.
Good job, Bakar, to hand it off quickly to Obaid, and he helps. He's the only player today that has capitalized on opportunities.
He's up to 6 points already. You know, perfect from the field. You can't ask much more from someone coming off the bench than that.
Tominaga is like, red alert! Call the fire department, somebody. We've got a blaze.
I think he's seeing the game like the Matrix right now. This is unreal. That was good defense then as well. That was hand in the face and not put out of his stride at all.
Oh, good drive. Issa doesn't make it. Al-Sati keeps it alive. See, he's not settling for jumpers. He's driving. Nice play, Obaid.
Man, I got a lot of time for Obaid today. He is doing exactly what Syria need. He's not being, you know, put off by the fact that they're down by so many, that they struggled in that first quarter. He's just coming in and sees the opportunity and takes it.
Three-point shot. Sato, do you think Japan is excited about Tominaga? Obaid.
Yeah, I think just a little bit.
I mean, they must be thinking we can go ahead and write his name into the World Cup squad.
I'm wondering what time it is in Nebraska right now and see if any of his college mates I
was looking at his numbers in Nebraska. They didn't seem that great. And I'm thinking, really? Are you not playing this kid? I mean, this guy, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm sorry, but
he can play.
How in the world? Adribe, nice pump fake. Look at Al-Sati go up and get it, but.
And that's what you like about Al-Sati. That's what you respect about him, that he's in there for the hustle. He looks like he enjoys that scrappy element of basketball when you're just trying to go in and fight for not even rebounds, more like loose ball rebounds.
I think Juarez is clutching his straws on that one. That was a good no call by the ref.
He's going to have something to clutch at.
Oh, Kawamura fouled. I will say this, whatever Nebraska is doing, even if he's not playing, it's working, because
it is.
The kid from Nagoya is, he's showed up here in Jakarta looking very good indeed.
Kawamura was certainly one of the highlights for me from game one. You know, when it was kind of a bit of a deadlock between Japan and Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan had dropped into that zone defense. It was Kawamura who unlocked it. He was the one that led the way with those really incisive, cutting drives.
Yeah, no question.
And then just kicking the ball out. And it was at that point where Japan really had true belief in themselves that they could, you know, run riot over Kazakhstan.
He did average about 16 minutes per game.
Okay, that's not too bad.
But there were a couple of games late in the season, including against Penn State, which is where Tom Hovas played. He only played 4 minutes, but they cruised to a 93-70 win.
How many years at Nebraska has Tominaga got left?
I think he's got 2 more.
Okay. That's mad, isn't it? Still 2 more years of development for him.
Yep.
Syria have looked better in this second quarter. You know, they only trailed Japan by 1 point in this second quarter. And that's all because of that man.
Wow. Wow.
Gee. You look at the focus on his eyes as well as he drives to the basket. He is laser locked right now.
Here's Kawamura again, into the corner it goes, and Nishida. Tominaga's not the only shooter in this team, and now you got both Nishida and Tominaga out on the court. That's enough to send shivers down the spine. Oh, good pump fake. He got Tominaga off his feet.
And then you look at some of the changes now that we're going to see for Japan as Tominaga, Haramoto, and Kawamura come out. And the depth just doesn't change with Suda coming in, Evans coming into the game, and Taves coming in as well. You know, you were saying it in the preamble, and I absolutely agree with you. I think Coach Hovas is getting closer to the team he wants on the floor if he had his choice of everyone.
He actually played 2 years at Ranger College, Tominaga, before transferring to, boy, look at Obey getting it done. He's the revelation, isn't he, for Syria today?
Yeah, perfect from the field, 6 from 6.
And three-point shot from Nishida. He's like, let's have a three-point shooting contest, you and me.
That's the 12th three-pointer for Japan in this first half. Unreal. 36 of their 44 points have come from outside, and they're shooting at a 52% efficiency.
So I think he'll be a senior going into next season, just to wrap it up, Tominaga. But he did play for Japan in the 3x3 at the Olympics.
Yeah, he could be a great little 3x3 player. Phenomenal.
Luke Evans driving in. Good job of Bay. Look at that.
Doesn't stop, right? He has come into the game super pumped, ready to go.
I think you've got Obey, the guys that I like in this series outfit, although we haven't seen as much today from Adribe, Obeid, Alsati, Adribe, Nazarini.
Yeah, Adribe's only played 6.5 minutes. Expected him to play a bigger part.
Wow. I mean, he's not complaining. He's not like shaking his head, they're making too many threes. What he's shaking his head is like, why aren't we guarding the three?
Yeah, that's the problem. You know, you can accept if someone shoots and you're playing great defense, but Syria certainly aren't.
Good pump fake. Oh, he would have had a three-point play. Adribe's just not quite clicking today in terms of his finish. But I guess it's hard to make a shot in that situation.
Yeah, he's the only player with a double-double against Iran, so he certainly did a good job in what was a tough opener for them. But yeah, he's not quite found the rhythm of the game yet. But I agree with you. It was a really interesting starting five that Coach Juarez selected. Kind of went against the logic of who played well and which rotations worked well in that first game.
The other thing that we should say, since we're still talking about Tominaga, he's so good we're talking about it, he's not on the court, is his dad actually played for Japan, just so you know.
Okay.
Played the 1998 FIBA Basketball World Cup. Long-time player in Japan. So you see those parents that play basketball, their kids,
family connection,
learn the
right?
way, don't they? Yeah. So Adribe goes out, Alhamwe comes back in.
Yeah, Alhamwe's had the big rest that he wanted.
There's Obey looking up the floor. Ball goes off of Nazarin's hands. Well, Juarez knew when he was going to take this job, it was going to be tough. Actually, his family told him he was even crazy to go to Syria. But he said his heart was in it, and he wanted to try.
You can definitely say that his heart's in it. He's putting a lot of passion into the coaching.
Suda! There's a bunch of shooters on the court, and there's a Suda on the court as well, who's a shooter. Timeout, 50 points already for Japan. I wonder if they're on the way to a record points haul at the FIBA Asia Cup. The way these three-pointers are falling, I would not doubt it.
We stay here, shut up. We can help our teammates when they stay playing, no? Only thinking in this possible play. If we don't move more our foot and stay like this, like playing in Syria, it's impossible, man. We need move in defense. We know it's impossible.
Only one foul, guys. Only one foul.
Only one foul. Let them run. Don't play aggressive. Go to jump, man. Use the hands for goal. Let's play and won't believe in our job, man. with energy and go to the ring with energy. Okay? Go, come on.
Tominaga is 5 from 6 from downtown. 6 Japanese players have already connected from outside as well. And that's the problem you've got. If you've got one sharp shooter, it's easy to try and isolate defensively and you know, close them out. But it's literally raining down from everywhere on Syria right now. And Coach Juarez is absolutely right. They need to move on defense. They need to chase out. They can't be so static. They can't just rely on maybe how they play domestically for their club. They need to step up a level.
Well, the ball gets away. Kai Taves picks it up, and then he is fouled by Nazarian. Taves not happy with the attention he was getting, but I mean, I didn't think Nazarian was doing anything wrong there, especially your team's getting your nose rubbed in it down 50-21. I mean, he's got to play hard. I think Kai Taves wants to get in there and make his mark like those other Japan guards. Watanabe, rebound and run. Suda and Bakar rebounds. And the drive and the basket is good. Obeyed. 14 points. Well, Juarez sent out the order and he obeyed. You get that? There we go.
I do.
Kai Taves, you're just not even going to respond, are you?
I'm just looking at this Syrian defense in disbelief. As much as Coach Juarez keeps shouting at them and asking them to increase the intensity, they're just standing watching. The way they're playing defense, they may as well take a seat up in the crowd and watch the game at the moment because they're just not in it. I think that I don't know what's happened. They're almost spellbound by how much Japan moved the ball.
Nazarian, well, looks like he was trying to look off full Watanabe, but in the end he threw it away. And I mean, the three-pointers are mind-boggling. I mean, you need to take a seat when I tell you this, okay? Japan are 15 of 27.
This is madness. And it's like I said, it's not just that, it's the number of different players that are hitting threes.
Okay, you can stand back up now. 56-25. Suda.
Better defense, but it needs to be every time.
Good pass by Taves. They pass it around again. Outside, Suda, he is lining up. I mean, this has to be a record. 16 of 28 from three-point range.
And Suda now is 5 from 6. This is, I'm sitting here in shell shock myself. I don't think I have ever seen a shooting performance like this. This is absolutely unreal. Don't get me wrong, Syrian defense is nowhere near where it needs to be. It's not up to scratch for this level of international basketball. You know, there's no way they can argue any other way on that. But even on contested shots, Japan are just dropping it, and oh, well, it doesn't get any easier as Togashi comes into the game.
And the travel.
And some of the performances now from Syrian players walking up the floor, taking more than 10-12 seconds to bother getting themselves onto the offense is not the reaction that Coach Juarez wanted, that's for sure. He puts everything, heart, soul, and everything he's got into the game, and I think that's all he's asking from his team.
Well, he's, yep. Barth has been a youth teams coach at Real Madrid and Spain's youth teams coach and assistant coach with Utah Jazz in the summer league. He expects excellence, and he's not getting it defensively, but it's difficult at the worst of times.
Sylla
the best of times.
Sylla now 6 from 7 from downtown.
That is incredible.
A lot of them are open, but there'll still be some contested ones in there as well.
Issa. Obeyed. Adribe.
And Adribe continues to put everything he's got into it. There are kind of bright lights within the darkness for Syria. There are players that are clearly trying to put everything into it. Obeyed certainly put a lot in earlier on in the game. It's starting to tail away now as he's starting to fatigue, but Adribe's come in and done that. But every player in the Syrian team needs to be doing that.
Sylla again. Oh, I don't believe it. I do not believe it.
This is unreal. Anyone watching this right now, this is a moment, this is an absolute classic offensive display from Japan.
I think this might be a historic moment in Asian basketball, what we're witnessing from Japan right now. This is never been done.
No, this, unreal, you know. From a perimeter performance, they've only scored 3 buckets inside the arc. They've scored 18 3-pointers from 30 now.
Japan, yeah. And now they've just been fouled for three, and I think it's kind of like rubbing salt in the wound, but at the end of the day, the referee's got to call what he sees.
It's exactly the right call. That's not even close. But I rather that defense than the previous defense where they're just letting open shots.
So Sylla is, you know, we were talking about Tominaga, and while we were talking about him, Sylla just went about his business, and Tominaga was 5 of 6 from 3-point range.
Now, Tominaga will be sitting on the bench saying, come on, coach.
Yuta Rosoda.
I'm not even getting a chance to defend this. I'm not getting a chance to defend my shooting title. Perfect from the line as well.
Obeyed gets it off. That would have been fitting if he had made that, because he's actually been pretty good this half.
He has.
So frustrating first half for Syria, but Japan are just in a different league right now, a different world. Japan lead at 68-27 at halftime over Syria.
I've just looked at the box score. Sylla has been on the floor for 6.5 minutes, and he's scored 24 points in 6.5 minutes.
This is not good. Out of your screen, Juarez has gone back to the table. He's yelling at the commissioner.
He's going to get thrown out of the game if he's not careful.
And then somebody else called the referees over to tell him to pipe down. Juarez had already turned around to walk away.
He's embarrassing himself now.
Yeah, I mean, he's upset. He's upset. I can understand it.
He's embarrassing himself now.
But he needs to go. And to be honest, I think the referees are showing good constraint here. That's good refereeing. They understand the situation. He's hot. His team's on the receiving end, and they're showing great patience. So anyway.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is. Best plays of the first half. Well, you're going to see a lot of three-pointers. Watanabe.
Just a few. Just a few three. I don't think the halftime break's long enough to show all of them, though. That's the one thing I would say.
Yeah, which threes are you going to show?
But this has amazed me. Sylla on the floor for 6 minutes and 24 seconds and has 24 points in 6 minutes. That has, you know, you're talking about record breaking. That has to be a record. Someone to have scored so many points in such a short period of time. 7 from 8 from outside. As you said, Tominaga, he's in the shadows now. He's only got 15, 5 from 6. But yeah, breathtaking, historic offensive display here from Japan. And Syria just left. There's no other way. You'd go back to that locker room as a Syrian player just in shock. I don't think you know, there is a lot on your shoulders. You've not played the defense you need to play, but Japan have just been absolutely lights out, deadly in that quarter, and really, really shown, you know, they're here to push for that top step of the podium.
Yeah, it's just you feel bad in a way for this Syria team, but they just are not at the level that Japan has been playing at since the fourth quarter, late in the third quarter against Ukraine.
Yeah, it's just a carry-on, really. Japan have done a great job in just continuing to do what they did against Kazakhstan from the get-go. But you know, you have to lay some of this at the feet of Syria. They've not played good defense. They've not come in with the intensity that they'd have to. They've not been smart about how they played the game particularly. They should have tried to slow Japan's just movement of the ball. Even if Japan fall into a half-court offense, just slow that start of the half-court offense down, but they haven't. Japan have just had it all their own way in this first half. Only a few bright sparks really for Syria. That man there, Obeid, has been impressive. He's come in and put a shift in. Adribi hasn't had it go his way, but he's certainly tried his hardest. But it's going to be an interesting 20 minutes ahead of us in the second half, I think. Can Japan keep this going? If they can, this is going to be history-making.
(68-27), Japan on top of Syria at halftime.
Who will you become when the moment arrives and you're carrying the expectations of an entire nation, representing your people and their dreams, the colorful faces in the streets, the screaming fans in the stands? It's time to make your move. All eyes on you, all hope, all heart. Because when you win for all.
And he's got a three-point play. Miguel White gets swatted. Great effort from Mahna Al-Mawani. Here's Proctor with a spin and scores, and that's 2 in a row for Tyrese Proctor, starting to see his talent balloon here. Lincoln Chin going out big time from number 0.
That play just born from pure determination for Lin.
Puts his attempt up, and Lee Kai-young off target. Choi, oh, what a beautiful pass!
Wow. That's absolute vision from Choi. Full flow.
Freddie Ibrahim, Jordan, trying to get a big win, their first win, and Al-Mawani throws it down. Abbas, all he's done is come back into the game. Rusa gets it to Chisholm, and he lays it up, and Bahrain have moved back in front. Incredible.
That's the exact word. Incredible.
Why did they leave him? And again, the handoff, all the great block. Oh, Rollins just picks up his third.
Huge block.
Potentially safe. The back to split the D, hands it off to Hamuda. Are you kidding me? Wow, electric stuff.
There's the play. Oh, splits the defense with it behind the back.
That was the play of the game right there. Jang gets it to who? Back to Jang for 3. The offensive rebound, and he's fouled. Can you believe it?
He's been pretty quiet in the second half, but what a time to wake up.
He was there, the ball fell to him kindly, really, and he was alert enough to go straight back up and look at the joy. Yuta Soda just, wow, breathtaking stuff. 7 of 8 from three-point range, 24 points in the first half. And he even made 3 free throws.
24 points in 6.5 minutes.
That's crazy.
That's unreal, right? That's absolutely unreal. For a team to make 24 points in 6.5 minutes is unreal, let alone for one player to do it.
I mean, it's kind of infectious, isn't it? When you see the threes start to go in, Tominaga, and then Suda comes out, and then he starts seeing his own threes go in, and the rim, that basket just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it certainly breeds confidence amongst the whole team. But what a shooting performance overall from Japan. 18 from 30 in that first half.
Wow, I mean, it's. I'm happy for Japan. I feel bad for Syria, because what Japan did to Kazakhstan yesterday, and Kazakhstan were in a good way. They basically destroyed them. I mean, you saw how Kazakhstan played today. They were not the same team when they showed up. And now Syria, who actually had a little bit of a feel-good factor, they're on the receiving end. And, well, of course, Syria and Kazakhstan will play in the next game. But Suda, just one of many great three-point shooters, but he had the most. Obaid has been, quite frankly, I've been shocked by how good and effective he's been. He's been getting it done, hasn't he? 16 points.
He really has, and it's been back to basics for him as well. It's nothing fancy, nothing over the top. It's just straightforward, hard basketball drive to the basket with some direction and purpose. And I think he knew his team needed someone to step up and be a bit more aggressive on the offensive end, and it's paid off for him. Just frustrating that they've found a Japanese team that are just off the charts at the moment. And the thing that I think most impressed me about the Japanese team is they have not tailored their game at all. They have played exactly the same against Syria as they played against Kazakhstan. They have confidence that the way they play basketball will just beat teams. They almost don't need to worry so much about who they're going against. They're just going to go out and beat teams. Will they change when they face maybe tougher competition? Potentially they will, but the confidence they'll be taking from this will be off the charts.
This is how they want to play.
Yeah, yeah.
And here in Jakarta, which is going to be one of the sites of the FIBA Basketball World Cup, well, this is their chance to get to see Japan, because Japan's not going to be here next year. They're going to be in Japan.
That's very true.
As the co-host. Suda, 24, Tominaga, 15, Watanabe, 8. You go back and you revisit that decision after the Olympics. You felt kind of bad if you'd been following Hovas and watching what he had done for women's basketball and the Japan women's national team. And you're thinking, wow, they've really just kind of like shown everybody what you can do to win if you don't have size. They've just put the blueprint down for success, and Japan were just utterly tantalized. The powers, the movers and the shakers, and they're like, Tom, do you think you could do this with the men's team? And obviously, they offered him the position. So he took over from Hulu Lamas, who had done a good job. But, to bring the different style, and it wasn't working because he, for various reasons, not getting the time with the players that he needed, not getting the players, some of the players that he wanted, and showing up at windows. But I think what this has done more than anything is it has shown, as we see Obaid there, it has shown all of Japan, if there weren't any believers before this FIBA Asia Cup and in the decision to put Hovas in charge and to back him, well, there have to be now. There's no turning back. And now you see the possibilities. Do you just want to middle along as a Japan team that has a chance to get out of the group phase?
Yeah.
Or do you want to have a Japan team that can not only challenge
has a chance
for a
medal.
spot on the podium, and maybe even win the title? Right now, forget it. I'm picking this team to win it if they play like this. Or, you know, do you want a team that can also go deep at the Olympic Games, that can go deep at the FIBA Basketball World Cup? Japan is a host nation for the FIBA Basketball World Cup. And when they hosted it in 2006, they didn't get out of the initial group.
Yeah.
That's not good enough. So
it's not.
They've taken a bold decision, and if he gets the players and he gets the time, and now the competition for spots in that team is going to be heating up. So if you don't want to play, if you're tired, well, that's fine, but there are going to be players that want to play, and you might be losing out on your chance. Let's listen to Coach Juarez.
Okay? Zach, Juan, David, Anthony, Omar, 3.
Okay. You're open. Just shoot with confidence. Okay? All right. Go. It's your body. It's your body. Did you go? Oh!
Download the FIBA Asia Cup app in your smartphone, and you will not regret it. You'll get all of the stats, the latest, see who players are, what teams are made up of, what their stats are. You can go find out more about Yutaro Tsuda, what his size is, what his numbers are. I feel pretty confident there's going to be a few more features about the Japan men appearing soon. Don't want to say that they will, but I'm pretty sure there will be, because you have to.
Yeah.
This is an incredible story.
Yeah, it truly is. It truly is. I'm just looking forward to seeing the highlight reel, because which 3 do you take? Can you condense all of them into one montage?
So Yuka Togashi is back into the game. Obeid is in. Yoshi is in. Harimoto is in. And who else is in? Oh, yeah. Nishida. Also Luke Evans. So. What was
and
that,
that's
3 seconds?
heartbreaking. Yeah, Al Hamwi just camping out in the paint just as 3-second violation called just before they drained the 3. And that kind of sums Syria's day up to a certain degree.
And the ball knocked away from Nishida, but it goes out of bounds. It'll stay at this end. There's an element of, you know, we saw it with India playing, Philippines, and you see it with Japan. Like right now, at what point do you call off the dogs? And the reality is you do not.
No, because he's got a bench full of dogs. He's got talent all the way down.
You got a shot clock.
Yeah.
You can't stop playing. So the onus is on Syria to raise their game.
Oh, they've got to. Without a shadow of a doubt, the second half is about, can Syria rebuild their confidence and come out and do something differently? And the difference has to be at the defensive end. And their offense will spark from that, but the defense has to be so much better than it was in the first half.
If you're Japan, I mean, you want to keep playing well. You don't want to start having bad habits.
Nope.
You know, so you gotta keep playing every possession like it's your last, like it's a one-point game. Bakar drives in, gets blocked out of bounds by Evans.
And I'm sure Coach Hovas has said, right, okay, this is the target for this quarter. You know, we want to win this quarter, or we want to win it by this many, or we want to limit Syria to this number of points. Once you get to this stage where you have such a huge lead, it's vital to keep that motivation up by setting those kind of targets.
Luke Evans rebounds it to Gashi. And a good job by Obeid, who's doing everything.
He is.
He's, look at that. I mean, his coach must be thinking, boy, we found our new leader watching him play.
He must be thinking, why can't I have another 11 of him right now? Because he's showing the heart that his team need.
Into the corner. Look at him pass it around. See, Japan's giving a lesson on passing. Yoshi. Evans going for it. Now obeyed. Oh, good hands by Nishida. Imagine what it's going to be like for Tom Hovas to pick his team for the World Cup.
It's just got a lot harder.
If you did not put your hand up to play this summer, your position to make your chances of making this team are a little bit harder now, because these guys have shown what they can do. Now the rebound. Look at Obeid hustle back on defense. Tagashi for 3, rims out.
And also, to a certain degree, you can look at, particularly the players that have really stepped up so far in Asia Cup. They can be a little bit hard done by if they're not included in that roster.
Good shot. 3-pointer. Al-Hamwi. And
it continues.
Yoshi makes it.
And
adds his name to it.
It's just smart offense, really, from Japan. They're running a 5-out structure, and while Al-Hamwi's on the floor, Syria can't defend 5-out. Al-Hamwi can't chase out to the perimeter quick enough. So it's absolutely wonderful. You look at this, they're spreading the floor perfectly. They're hugging the sidelines, not putting anyone inside, just trying to play perimeter.
Harimoto missing. Shoot it quickly, bounce pass, and it's good. So, good job hustling down the floor there, Yoshi, and the pass from Nishida. I mean, have you seen enough from Japan now to think this is now the team to beat? Or are we just getting carried away from one game and from the end of Kazakhstan and now Syria, two teams that aren't really...
I think the problem I have to say they're the one to beat is that there's been a few teams that have put big performances in. The likes of Korea have looked good, and there are other teams, and Australia haven't been tested. Until I see Australia tested,
it's too early to make predictions.
Yeah, but
you can't make predictions once it's in the semifinals.
I think I'd be surprised if I don't see Japan on the podium.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's as confident as I'd go right now, but that's still not a bad statement.
Evans. Nishida back to Evans. And Lisa fouls Evans. So I think it's raining again outside.
Yeah, when it rains in Jakarta, it rains.
It's like biblical.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, it's either like 40 degrees or raining. They're your two options right now.
Well, I mean, I could not think of, honestly, I'd been to Bali before. I had not been to Jakarta, but this is a fantastic location to host the FIBA Basketball World Cup. I'm really happy for Indonesia, and I just... people are so nice here. Look at that. The ball rims out. Fakar. Up to Evans. Good pass by Tagashi.
And Evans is one of those players. He doesn't get a huge amount of the headlines particularly, but every qualification window, every tournament, he's there to go. And yeah, just comes in, gets the job done, provides them with a different look.
I mean, at the end of the day, my understanding is that some of the other guys were tired from a long season, which is understandable.
Yeah, particularly in the B League.
But, so Luke Evans comes up and makes himself available, and he gets to show what he brings to the table. So there will be a lot of things that are considered, taken on board, and you also have to think about what's it like in the changing room. How does he get on with the other players? Here he is, turn around, puts it up, and gets it to drop. He wears number 3, but that was a 2. But he can shoot the 3. Look, he's 3-5 inside the arc. He's got 11.
Yeah, alongside 6 rebounds as well. So doing the job he usually does.
And Luke Evans, right on cue, comes up with the steal. Look at that no-look pass. And look at that finish from Harimoto.
How confident was that finish as well? Just put it into cruise control. That was autopilot for the reverse layup.
We call Sam Froling the Big Smooth, but this is the Big Smooth as well. Both of it. Both Evans, good Evans, and then Harimoto. Look at that. It's not that easy if you have a bad left hand.
No, you definitely have to have 2 hands.
And even if you have a good left hand,
yeah,
it's actually...
It's not an easy shot, not, you know, in full flow like that.
Scan it in, folks, for all the information on the FIBA Asia Cup here in Indonesia. Obeyed with 18 points. Omar Sheikh Ali. Well, we know they're going to pass the 100 mark, Japan. The question is, how much are they going to score?
Yeah, I think that's a given. I think they'll get to, 120.
I don't think Obeid's coming out of this game. Now, Alzati's checked into the game.
I can understand why Juarez wouldn't take him out of this game, as he is one of the only consistent offensive options he's got.
Soichiro Inouye has come into the game, number 71. Obeid. Oh, there goes perfection for him. I think he had made all of the shots before that. Tominaga must be feeling under pressure. Oh, look at this, Suda. Oh, short. Yes.
I'm disappointed.
He's human.
I'm disappointed. He's now 7 from 9.
Alhamwi turns, puts it up and in. Kawamura now on the baseline. 3-point shot. It's good from Takuma Sato. And the threes just keep falling.
And 7th Japanese player now to connect from outside. That's going up. Oh,
no,
I'm surprised.
You thought so. Sato just made one. He's going to pass it over to Tominaga. Now you can say it. Oh, missed it. And a chance to run. Syria.
But you see how Japan approached that defensive effort. You know, they're leading this game by 51 points, and they're still putting pressure on the ball, trying to slow down Syria's offense. Exactly what Syria should have been doing to them, really. But Japan, like you say, I think they're pretty determined not to get in bad habits, not to become complacent, because they've got a big final game within this group stage.
So Asri in the game as well. There's Alzati, Obeid. Basha back in the game. No. Actually, Asri's going back out now. Good hands, Bakar. So there's Tom Hovass. I mean, he's not going to be desperate to get his players together and not want to work them out and to see them try to have their peak performance, get them to play at the highest level they can. And guess what? Suda just fouled. Is going to the free throw line. Suda is 30 years old, so this is also a very important time for him.
Yeah. Last few opportunities to represent his country at big tournaments. Obviously, the Asia Cup now, World Cup next year, potentially maybe one more Asia Cup.
Maybe.
Maybe a couple, you don't know. But he'll certainly remember today's performance, that's for sure. It's one of those games as a player that he won't forget in a hurry. It's, yeah.
Now quickly to the other end, Tominaga misses.
Slipped out of his hand.
Al-Hamwi.
And that's where he wants the ball. Way, way down deep in the paint. And if Al-Hamwi gets that deep, you really do have to front him. You can't try and play behind him on the defensive side.
One of the things though that I like about Hovas is that he kind of casts the net, you know, and he finds players. And Suda's not played for Japan before. So this is like, okay, let's give you a chance. I know you're 30, but you might be able to help us out here.
And you're absolutely right. You know, we've spoken to him quite a few times across the years, and he's so open-minded. He listens to other people's advice. You know, people are recommending, saying, bring this guy into training camp, see how he performs, just give him a chance. And be it both on the women's side and on the men's side, he's had such success. He's found absolute superstars at the international level by being open-minded, not being just set in his ways.
Oh, completely. Completely. And he had, at the last FIBA Women's Asia Cup that we covered in Bengaluru, you know, the MVP was a player who
just wasn't on the radar.
I mean, she had played at the World Cup. He had already found her by then, but, you know, he took her to Spain. She played at the World Cup. She was a starting point guard.
But prior to that, she just wasn't on the radar at all. But for anyone at the national level, it was a recommendation to have a look at her, and just stemmed from there.
Just her name escapes me. I'm just trying to remember who it is. I will tell you real quickly, because also she later tore her ACL. Battle back to play at the Olympics. And Bakar makes both free throws. Yeah, Nako Motohashi. She went on to become the MVP of the FIBA Women's Asia Cup. There is Tominaga.
And it just continues in Japan. They're clearly playing a slower game now. They're not pressurizing as much. They don't need to. Several elements to that. First of all, I imagine fatigue is a concern. They want to try and stay as fresh as they can. Still great defense from Tominaga, though. But also potentially injury as well. You know, that would be the worst case scenario right now. They've put on an absolute clinic. A really historic game. The last thing they want to do is pick up an injury to a key player in a game that was decided in the first half, really. They could potentially get to 100 points before the end of the third quarter here. It's an ask, but they could potentially do it. Sato called for that foul. As Al-Sati continues to do what he does, just tries to hustle, put some intensity on the offensive end, and you feel for players like Al-Sati, Obeid, Adribi, and a few others in this Syrian roster. They've certainly done what they can do. It's not necessarily been matched at every turn by their teammates.
Yep, absolutely. Stunning performance, to put it mildly, by Japan today. And the rebound. And back to Al-Hamli. He also, I mean, just not to dwell too much on this, but when he was coaching at the FIBA Women's Eurobasket 2017, Hovas had also brought in Saki Mizushima into the game. and she was nowhere on the national team radar, and she led the team in scoring in the final 26 points, and she just went off. So, yeah, just a lot of good talent. And they do have, you know, professional leagues in Japan, which is good. It just shows the importance of good professional leagues. You know, you got a lot of
talking about
rosters you
this
can
day,
analyze. Right? Yeah. Here's another attempt, and three-pointer's good from Suda.
And the one question I would have around Coach Suarez is just his rotations have seemed really interesting. A little bit sideways today. You know, Adelby looked like he put in quite a good shift, and we haven't seen an awful lot of him in this game. He's played just 3 minutes in this game. You know, yeah, Adribi's played less than 10. Yeah. So it's just the starting five looked a bit strange, and some of the rotations have looked a little bit strange. But that said, whoever he's put on the floor, they haven't been up to the level of Japan. They truly haven't.
Well, I thought he had his rotation wrong at the start of the game when you considered Alsati had played so well and Adribe had played so well. But then, as the game unfolded, you actually realize, he's got it right. Those guys were in position to score, to make shots. They were just missing shots and getting further and further behind. So, anyway, 96-42, Japan on top of Syria at the end of 3.
And a quieter quarter from Japan, understandably so. They still outscored Syria 28-15 in that quarter. And their shooting percentages are just off the charts. I'm surprised the graphics can stay up with it, if I'm completely honest. I don't think many people expect to see those kind of percentages. Their three-point percentage dropped down to 55% now, though. 22 from 40, but they continue to shoot the ball exceptionally well from outside. And Japan are looking like the real deal in Jakarta. And plenty of other teams, I imagine, within this tournament really don't want to be facing up against Japan. I think they'll be looking at quarterfinal matchups thinking that would be a nice one not to be drawn against.
Narimoto with that shot that we were talking about. Yeah, it's kind of really the same thing. You know, it's hey, listen, the more the merrier in terms of competitive teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, FIBA Basketball World Cup, you want to have 32 competitive teams. You don't want any easy games. And scanning that for your barcode for your courtside 1891 app, folks. You won't regret it. All the streams, schedules, and scores for this great competition. So yeah, so they did qualify for the FIBA Basketball World Cup last time, but when they went, you know, things didn't go according to plan. They got beat by Turkey, lost by 13 to the Czech Republic, and then of course they fell to USA 98-45. So don't forget, they've been on the receiving end of a big loss. Japan.
That's a tough group as well, though, right? Especially as the Czech Republic were playing exceptionally well. That was a tough group. Then they lost to New Zealand and Montenegro, so they didn't win a game. So yeah, I think this change gives them a chance to kind of like move forward. And it certainly looks like they are. You know, they look so composed and so cohesive as a team. Every single member of the team is working so hard for one another right now. They're running exactly what Coach Hovas is asking them. So things are looking good. They're growing good momentum for this tournament and for next year's World Cup as well.
Yoshi for 3, and that's good. I mean, no way if they play Australia are they going to be beating them by 50 points. So a lot of how well they've played today has to go down to the level of the comp.
Yeah, fully understandable that is.
Korea as well. So you got to keep things in perspective that way. But it certainly looks like it's moving in the right direction, or as they say these days, trending upward. Al Hamwe puts it up and in. Taves whips it over to Inoue. I find that the hardest name to pronounce for the Japanese players. Adelby, the rebound.
And that's why I'm surprised we haven't seen him. You know, that's the kind of play that he brings, and that's what Syria have needed, a little bit more of a hard-nosed attitude to crashing the boards.
Pulling up on the break. Suda hits another one. That's number 9, is it?
Yeah, 9 from 11 now. 33 points for Suda.
And this was a guy that didn't get a whiff the last 4 years. Oh, that's much better. Now Alsati needs to knock it down, and he does for Syria. 24, drilling the 3. Arbasha comes in from behind and commits the foul.
You wonder what the target for Syria is in this final quarter. I'm sure Coach Juarez has set the one, you know, something in mind, even if it's maybe just to win the quarter potentially. Japan will take their foot off the gas a little bit, I imagine, in this quarter. So Syria can try and win the quarter. I think that would be a positive, at least for them to take forward into their absolutely must-win last game of the group.
Syria's disappointed he didn't make that one.
Kazakhstan versus Syria is looking like a tasty game now on Sunday.
Yeah, maybe Kazakhstan have had an opportunity to get the bad taste out of their mouth, although they also fell pretty badly to Iran.
And the basket's good on the jam from Al-Hamwi.
Al-Hamwi ended up in double digits today.
But yeah, the
17.7 rebounds.
I'm just trying to think through that Kazakhstan-Syria game. I'm trying to think where I'd put favorites. I'd probably put Kazakhstan if mentally they can refresh and get ready for the game, because that's where they're struggling at the moment. I think they're a better team than Syria, but they get in their own heads too much and they lose that quality. And then the other side of the group, you've got Iran versus Japan, and that's another one that should be a really good battle.
Oh, yeah. All batted out of Al-Hamwi's hands.
And both of those teams, when they get to that game, Iran and Japan, will want to win it, because it's only the winner that will go straight through to the quarterfinals.
I know you. It's another one, number 71.
That's 8 Japanese of the 12. 8 Japanese players of the 12 now that have hit threes. And that's tough to defend when pretty much the entire roster can step onto the floor, spread the floor, and hit threes.
Makes you dangerous. And remember, his philosophy is, Hovas's philosophy, that three-point or that long jump shot just in front of the arc, he doesn't want you to take it. That's against the rules. You better step behind the arc.
Yeah, it's either a 3 or it's within a meter of the basket. Yeah. There's no two ways about that. That's the modern game, and it's all about the maths and the percentages.
105.50 timeout. Let's listen to Coach Juarez.
Explain me. You take any problem for use fouls for the team? Hey man, it's because I don't understand you. It's near you. I'll go down the rim for create. Go, 6 minutes more. Hey, good job now. We don't want to play with turnovers, okay? More aggressive. Play with a ball. What you do near the rim? Play a spacing. Only 1 man inside and 4 up. Okay, and remember, a play over a safe play. Okay? Good job. With energy. You take 6 minutes more for play against this team.
Okay, so Juarez now being a little more positive. I think realizing it was not going to be their day today, and ultimately it didn't really matter because they're going to have to go up against Kazakhstan and get that last spot. So there's Suda. He's coming out of the game.
And I think that was evident very early on that for Syria, you know, they came out in this game. It was evident that it is all down to that Kazakhstan game. The winner will pick up that 3rd spot in the group and will progress to the quarterfinal qualification game. And the loser, well, they'll head home.
I just wonder if Kazakhstan scouting this game, if they're able to watch it and scout Syria without just being completely distracted by Japan and having bad memories.
Yeah, yeah, some flashbacks of Japan treating them the same way.
Tominaga gets his foot up and kicks it.
But if you just look at like for like, so we'll look at Syria's performance and Kazakhstan's performance against Japan, you would have Kazakhstan as the favorites. They had 20 minutes where they were competitive. They caused Japan some troubles, whereas Syria have had no control in this game at all. They've not been dominant for any phase of this game.
Yeah, that's what worries you for Syria going up against Kazakhstan.
Yeah. If they can get the good Kazakhstan to turn up,
well,
then Kazakhstan should win the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the coach's job to get them ready. You would think so. Look, turns it over. Obeid Adribe puts it up and
from Japan's perspective, it's a tough 5 minutes, because what else are you trying to achieve? Things like that, body contact close to the basket can cause injury, and as a coach you just kind of sit there going, can we not just end the game now? It's clearly done. I'd rather just save my players any potential injury or fatigue. And I'm sure to a certain degree Coach Hayes would be like, yeah, that's fine, we can draw a line under this one. I'm not sure what Syria are going to get out of this last 5 minutes, unless they can truly have a very, very good 5 minutes and take some confidence from it.
Kai Taves, nice penetration, then turnaround.
Just great footwork, working on that pivot.
I didn't think he was really having a great season, not this past season, but before. He's really turned it around this season, and I think being a part of this program has helped him. There's Taves, spins, turns, puts it up, and fouled. Boy, talk about some serious herky-jerky scooping and hooping.
Beautiful spin move. Look how he plants the foot, though. Perfectly positioned so he can split the defenders. That foot in any other position, he just wouldn't have been able to go through the two of them. The fewest minutes out of the Japanese roster, though, Taves. He's only been on the floor about 9.5 minutes. 4 assists in 9.5 minutes, though. But you are going to get quite a few assists if you play in this Japanese team.
So let's be honest here. We were looking before the start of the day, and some people were like, oh, it's going to be a long day. You're not going to really get any good games, blah, blah, blah. But you come back to it. Look at Obeid. Not too bad for him, but he gets it back, and then he puts it up and in. But every single game has something about it just is special. Yeah. You know? And today, clearly, in this game, it's Japan, which is just breathtakingly good. I mean, you're going to go to sleep thinking about that first half by Suda, especially, and Tominaga.
Oh, just phenomenal. There was phases in that game where when Suda was just lighting up, where it was just spine tingling. That's basketball purists. That's how you want to see the game played. You know, that is just a thing of beauty when the game is played that way.
A shot, Bakar. I mean, for the record, I was expecting everything to be good. For the record.
Did I expect every game to be close? No.
No, I didn't either.
Did I expect to have positives from every team we see today? Absolutely, I did. But mindset, isn't it? Whether you look at the game for certain elements.
Oh, nice drive. Kai Taves again getting in, and he's really tough to handle when he gets into the paint. He gets his feet wet. Really knows how to finish. There he is again, and he's got the strength to hold on to the ball, and then he puts it up. I mean, I think the biggest surprise for me, and it may sound weird, other than watching Japan just do something unreal today with this offensive attack, was the some of the bright play from India. You know,
yeah,
they
it's
got blown
enjoyable.
out,
It's really enjoyable. Seeing the likes of Prince come through and put some big plays in and show those glimmers of exactly what they can do. Hafiz stepping up and hitting the threes in that game as well. I agree with you. The games were, you know, clearly it was unlikely they were going to be close, some of the games we've had today. But there's been bright sparks in every single one. There's been elements of the game that have just been wonderful to witness. But without a shadow of a doubt, the shooting performance here ranks up there with some of the best moments that I've watched, you know, in basketball live.
Yeah.
Just breathtaking.
I'm hoping we're going to get a official word on whether or not that was a record first half performance. What was it, 18 three-pointers?
I think so. There's something along those lines.
It was, yeah, so it was 18 of 30 from three-point range, perfect at the line. And maybe even more important for me was Suda and Tominaga were combined 12 of 14 from three-point range.
I'm sure Suda's 24 points in 6.5 minutes has to be some form of a record. That's just, you don't make, you know, you could write a comic book about basketball and you wouldn't put that storyline in it. You know, you'd go, oh yeah, I can understand people being able to shoot spiders' webs out their hands, but someone scoring 24 points in 6.5 minutes, now this is ridiculous.
I mean, Watanabe has hardly even played today, so they've been able to save him.
Yeah. And again, that can be a blessing, and maybe it isn't. You know, will he come out slightly rusty, not quite in the flow of things when they come back to Iran? I don't think so, because they'll obviously have a training, at least one session, if not 2 sessions tomorrow. There might be light sessions, but they'll run through them, you know, their structures.
How much can Haddadi do in that game as the pivot to control this Japan team? I mean,
I think the problem you've got is, you know,
he's not going to be able to chase shooters.
No, you've seen an example of it today, as we see Tominaga with another 3. You've seen an example today with Al-Hamwi. Just not, you know, as soon as he's on the floor, Japan play 5 out. And with Watanabe, they can play 5 out. He can shoot the ball, he can drive to the basket, you know, and Al-Hamwi can't chase that perimeter. And it's not, you know, it's not really fair asking him to do so.
No. So that'll be Luke Evans, and here is Takuma Sato. His second three-pointer.
28 from 52.
They have more than doubled Syria's score. That's how good they've been.
It's not even that. They've hit 3 times as many from outside as they have inside.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Put the prediction down of 120 points as the final score.
That's what your prediction was?
That was, yeah.
I think that was mine as well. I think I said 123.
You got, oh, okay. Okay. Still in the balance. My predictions usually aren't that accurate, so you may be on for a winner. I think I've got more chances. It's 3 points away rather than 2 points away.
Well, so an unsportsmanlike has been called, and they're going to review it.
Yeah, and OU called for the foul.
That's his 4th. Not that it matters.
You'd love to know what Coach Juarez is thinking about right now. I'm sure his brain is already switching forward to how they build to the next game as we see the replay of the foul.
That was, no, that was at the other end.
That was at the other end.
They're like, can you put it on the play that we're looking at, please? think about the possibilities. Here we go. This is it. Oh, did he trip him up on purpose? Is that what they're asking?
No, did he pull him from behind?
No, he was just falling forward.
Yeah, I think so too. I think keep that as a regular foul for me. He wasn't the last player back either. It wasn't out, you know, on a solo transition. Interesting to see what the officials say though. I'm saying a no. I think I'm about 50% on my guesses of unsportsmanlike fouls so far.
It's interesting, when Hovas coached the Japan women, they would blow some teams out like this, but then they would get into games where it went right down to the wire.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be, it's like you said earlier, how are they going to respond when it's a tight game?
Yeah, just a regulation foul on that one. Yeah, and that's the key, you know. Kazakhstan gave them a test in the first half. Syria have given them no test whatsoever, so really their first test will be the last group game. I imagine Iran will give them a test. I still see Japan as favourites on that, though.
Dribe gets in, puts it up and in. Inoue. Taminaga shares it. Nice decision. Back outside. Inoue. Well, you might be right, Mark.
No, I don't know.
Oh.
Possibly. Should have bought some lottery tickets. I knew it.
I think they're just going to hold it. They're not even going to shoot it.
I think they are as
and
well.
Then they're going to hand it off.
Oh, man, I should have told them. I need them to get the 120.
It's going to be pretty much 117 to 56. I don't think Syria will attack here. Dribe thought it was the end of the game.
I think he was hoping it was the end of the game.
Okay, so that'll be it.
Yeah, they'll just put it in the front half and
so
put it to the floor.
we've seen that a couple of times in a row here. So, although, yeah, didn't we see somebody from Japan hit a 3 yesterday? Who was it? Do you remember?
Oh, no, now you've got me, no.
It wasn't Suda, was it? It might have been. We have to look back and see who it was.
We'll see.
That's the final score. Japan 117, Syria 56. A new team is arising, and it's the team from the land of the rising sun, Japan, here in Jakarta. Well, that was just breathtaking. You know, I think that we're going to be talking about that performance for some time, that first half, and you wonder if we can see something that amazing again, because the competition is going to get stiffer now for Japan, but my goodness, 27 to 52 from three-point range.
Japan
attempted in the first half.
Japan attempted more shots from outside than Syria did from inside. Just phenomenal. 34 assists for the 117. The way they play basketball is just phenomenal. It truly is. Really, really impressive. Team offense through and through. Tough, quick ball pressure defense. Suda with 33. Tominaga not far behind him with 23. Breathtaking. And they're setting the scene. They're truly setting the scene for what could be a golden tournament for Japan.
Well, here are the highlights from the second half, and Japan just kept it going. I mean, they were just impressive. And they have to be feeling really good about where they are as a national team in this FIBA Asia Cup. And it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be interesting to see how they go into you know, the next window, which will be at the in late August.
Yep, yep.
And then obviously, you know, who all is going to be there, because it's going to be very important. More time together. And then the next year is they get ready for the FIBA Basketball World Cup. But obviously right now, what they want is a title. They want to get to the podium.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. The one thing I would say, and I imagine Coach Hovas will work very, very hard on this, is almost not to get ahead of themselves, to just temper that confidence a little bit. You obviously, it's a fine balance that you want.
You're not going to believe this, but it was Suda who made that shot at the end of Kazakhstan, which
He was just getting ready for this game, right?
It just goes to show it didn't have a negative impact on his. And I don't know what Kiselev will be thinking today, but he should be thinking, you know, Suda, in fact, in that game, he did have 9 points, but he was 1 of 6 from three-point range. That was the only three-pointer that he made yesterday.
Probably why he took it out of frustration, right, in that first game. But yeah, for me, Coach Hovas now will be working just to temper this confidence a little bit, because you can become maybe a little bit complacent if you become overconfident, thinking, you know, that you're going to blow through Iran in your last group game and make it through to the quarters. Because I think the last thing that any of these teams want, particularly the title contending teams like Japan, they don't really want to get into that qualification for the quarterfinal game. They don't want to finish second. They want to blast through, pick up a quarterfinal tie. There's 2 reasons for that. 1, they get extra rest. But 2, they'll get one of the lower seeded teams, one of the teams that haven't won their groups. They'll face in the quarterfinals, getting them potentially an easier ride through to the semifinals.
So as for Syria, it's like we want our challenge to continue, and we want to show our real face from the very beginning of the game, but we know we have to be ready when we go up against Kazakhstan. And Kazakhstan, this is their only chance to salvage and to get back on track, basically.
Yeah, I would have Kazakhstan as favourites. Like I say, that's the one common denominator we've seen is their performance against Japan, and Kazakhstan looked a bit stronger in that case.
So Japan and Iran up at the top of the standings after getting wins today. We saw Iran win first, 96-60, and then Iran improved to 2-0. Excuse me, Japan improved to 2-0 with a 117-56 beatdown of Syria. Kazakhstan and Syria again will battle it out for that 3rd spot and a chance to go to the qualification to the quarterfinals. So wow, you know what, we're sitting here digesting what we've witnessed, and we've gone from thinking, yeah, Japan have a shot to get to the podium, to Japan will get to the podium. And now the question is, can Japan challenge for the title here in Jakarta? I'm not sure how many people would have said that before this event, but that's the only conclusion you can draw after watching this team the first 2 games.